What if the man who could have stopped Blackbeard never left home? No red hair pirates, no saving Luffy from Higuma, no armed sacrifice to a sea king. Instead, Shanks stays. He puts on the armor. He becomes a holy knight. And in doing that, one single choice doesn't just change his life. It unravels the entire timeline of One Piece as we know it. Stick around because by the end of this video, Luffy might not even become a pirate at all. Let's set the scene. Shanks is a boy on Roger's ship, mopping decks, dodging chores, dreaming small. In canon, he leaves that ship, drifts to Fuchsia Village, and eventually becomes a Yonko. But somewhere in that gap, before the scar, before the straw hat, before any of it, there's a version of him who gets recruited into the Holy Knights instead. Maybe a scout finds him. Maybe he's chasing a rumor of power he can't get from Roger's crew alone. Whatever the reason, this Shanks trades the sea for the sword of an order built on faith, hierarchy, and control. And that one decision means Fuchsia Village never sees him again. So here's the question everyone's already asking. Does Luffy even become a pirate? Because without Shanks, there's no straw hat handed down like a promise. There's no Sea King attack, no armed sacrifice to save a kid who wasn't even his responsibility. And that's not a small detail. That moment is the emotional engine of Luffy's entire origin. Without it, does young Luffy still eat the gum-gum fruit? Maybe. Maybe some other event puts him in that same reckless situation. But does he do it with the same reason? Probably not. The fruit might still make him rubber, but nothing makes him hungry for the sea the way Shanks did. Next question. Does he still meet Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, the East Blue crew that becomes his family? Here's where it gets interesting. Most of those meetings don't depend on Shanks at all. Zoro's still tied up in Shell's Town, Nami's still working for Arlong, Sanji's still trapped under Zeph's debt at the Barati. Luffy could still cross paths with every one of them, but he'd be doing it as a directionless kid with power and no dream, instead of a kid chasing a promise made to a man he idolized. Same crew, completely different captain. Now here's the part nobody else is covering, because this is where the crossover actually gets fun. Drop Shanks, a man who, even as a subordinate, has enough hockey and swordsmanship to casually stand toe-to-toe with Yonko-level threats, into an order built on rigid rank and blind loyalty. What happens? He doesn't climb the ranks, he breaks them. A system built to keep power controlled and predictable suddenly has someone in it who thinks for himself, questions orders, and can casually outfight commanders twice his seniority. Does he get promoted fast because he's undeniable? Or does he get sidelined and feared because he doesn't fit the mold? Either way, one thing's guaranteed. The Holy Knights were never built to contain someone like this. He's not just strong by their standards, he's strong by One Piece standards, dropped into a world that has no framework for what he is. That mismatch alone is enough to destabilize the entire order from the inside. Now let's zoom all the way out, because this isn't just Shanks' story anymore. It's everyone's. Whitebeard and Shanks share a mutual respect in canon, one built over years at sea. Without that friendship forming, does anyone actually stop the war between Whitebeard and Blackbeard's ambitions the way Shanks does? Remember, Shanks is the one who steps in to end the war at Marineford. If he's not a pirate, if he's not even in that world, does that war just escalate? Does Blackbeard get exactly what he wants faster, with nobody powerful enough left to check him? And here's the piece that ties it all together. The balance of the four emperors only works because Shanks holds one of those seats with restraint. Pull him out entirely, and that empty seat doesn't just sit vacant. Somebody else takes it, maybe someone far less interested in balance. So let's go back to the promise I made you at the start of this video that Luffy might not become a pirate at all. Here's the resolution. Luffy still gets his powers, he still meets most of his crew, but without Shanks' sacrifice, without that scar under his eye as a permanent reminder of a debt to repay, Luffy's dream doesn't start the same way. It's not built on gratitude and a promise, it's built on nothing but boredom and raw power. And a Luffy without that foundational reason to sail might drift into being a fighter, a bounty hunter, even a marine, anything but the pirate king chasing Roger's dream for the right reasons. The tragic irony, by becoming strong enough to stand with the Holy Knights, Shanks accidentally erases the exact moment that was supposed to create the man who'd surpass him. One choice, one kid staying home instead of leaving, and an entire era of pirates never happens the way we know it. That's the wild part about One Piece. The whole story hinges on moments this small. So tell me, what's your favorite what if in this series? Drop it in the comments, and maybe it's the next video.